Good afternoon for everybody that joined in the meantime. And next up is one of our presentations in How Cool Is That? So this presentation's title is Submitting and Succeeding in Educational Technology in Higher Education. Our presenter is Dr. Greig Krull from UCT. I wonder, Dr. Greig, can you put on your camera and your mic and please introduce yourself to us? And then thereafter you can start with your presentation. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Ankiro. I really appreciate the opportunity to speak today. Hopefully you can see my screen, the presentation.
Yes, we can.
Okay, great. Then I'll go ahead. So thanks so much, and afternoon, everybody. It's lovely to be here. I am here at the request of Professor van Reineveld because we are both members of an international advisory board for a particular journal called the International Journal of Educational Technology in Higher Education. It is an open access journal that is published by Springer, and it is a journal that was started in Europe but is looking to, as it aligns to the name of the title, is that it aims to be an international journal. So I'm just going to put that link to the journal into the chat. So what I am going to be talking about today is just a little bit about this journal, and just inviting people from Africa and particularly South Africa to engage with the journal, either as an author, potentially submitting articles, a reader of the journal, as well as peer reviewers. So as I said, this is an open access journal. It doesn't have any APCs. It's published by Springer. Last year it celebrated 20 years of existence, although the name in current form in terms of the International Journal of Educational Technology in Higher Education has been since 2016. And the articles are all published in English. It's hosted by the Open University of Catalonia in Spain, but there's a consortium of universities over time that have come into, again, as the journal expanded into an international journal. It used to be as it was started in Spain, it was published articles in both English and Spanish, but subsequently shifted in 2016 to English and is seeking articles from all over the world. Just a little bit about the journal metrics for those of you interested in knowing a little bit more about the journal. So it has a sort of speed of around 50 days around that decision for when articles that are submitted and going for peer review, and then sort of the acceptance to publication is quite a short time. It has a high impact factor. In fact, it's one of the highest rated open access journals in education according to the Web Sciences impact factor, but it has quite a high rating in terms of some of the other ones as well, in terms of Scopus and things like that. In terms of the aim of the journal, it's really focused on, obviously, scholarly works and exchange of information. And because the journal aims to be internationally focused, it's around different perspectives and cultures of researchers, professionals, and practitioners in the field of technology enhanced and digital learning within higher education. So I'm just putting this up here just to have a look-see, but just to give you a sense of, so this was in 2023, which of the articles were the most read articles and the most downloaded articles. So you can get just a bit of a sense of the types of articles that are submitted and that are of interest to the readers of the journal. So you'll see that there are quite a few around artificial intelligence, which is obviously a major topic in the field at the moment. There's also a lot around blended learning and sort of some around mobile learning, student engagement, students' use of social networks, and use of games and simulations, as well as the impacts of COVID. A lot of these highly cited highly read articles are sort of original research that's sort of published as empirical research, either qualitative or quantitative studies, but there are a number of meta-analysis or systematic reviews as well that are also quite popular. But again, this just to give you a sense of the different types of articles that are of interest to many of the readers of the journal. So one of the things that, as I said, the journal was started in Europe. So you'll see that about half the authors that are accepted for publication come through from Europe. There's quite a few from North America and from Asia as well, but you'll see towards the bottom there, there's very few authors that are coming through from sort of South and Central America and Africa. And that's exactly why sort of ideas of coming to conferences and sharing about this journal today is really looking to try and increase that international focus of the journal and get more authors from different from areas. So one of the objectives of the journal, and particularly of the advisory board, which I'm a part of, is that we want to encourage submissions from diverse regions, particularly, especially as today's focus for me is around Africa and Southern Africa. The other idea is also to grow the number of peer reviewers from diverse regions. So you have reviewers from many different regions and contexts. And then one of the other objectives of the journal, which is something that's new, is this idea of a mentoring for emerging researchers. So people who maybe are coming into the field but don't have years and years of experience, and so they're less proper. They sort of may be doing some really interesting research but may not be getting accepted. Ways in which that can be supported to be able to get published in the journal. So that's something that the journal is starting to work on, and hopefully we'll see more in that space coming forward. So in terms of sort of some interests and ideas for those who perhaps interested in seeing this as a potential publication option for you, I think the journal is really interested in articles that speak to sort of novel and unique contributions. And one of the key things around why some articles are maybe published more than others is that often articles are focused very on a specific context, but the journal is looking for articles that where the findings can be translated to different contexts or be applicable in different contexts, so that readers from much wider spaces would be able to be engaged and learn from that. And obviously things such as having sound methodological approaches, clear writing as well, are things that the journal looks for. So there are two current open calls to the journal. I'll put these into the chat as well. As you can see that, again, a big focus is around artificial intelligence. So the two at the moment are related to artificial intelligence. The first one on the list is around credentials in AI and sort of international perspectives on how does AI affecting matters of credentialing and curriculum development. And then the next one which is the quite a short time until the articles are due, is in the 19th of December, is around using large language models for teaching and learning and how that's affecting teaching and learning. Okay. And then just to end off, to say is that if you are interested in potentially becoming a peer reviewer for this journal, you are welcome to contact me. I'm going to put my email address into the chat and I can pass that on to the editorial team. The journal is always looking for additional peer reviewers, so if that's something that is of interest to you, then that would be available. And I'm also, if there's any questions about the journal, the types of articles that are interested, you're also welcome to get in touch with me. And I'll leave it there. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Greg. I want to open the floor now for questions. Are there any questions from anybody? So I have a question for many of us, especially early career researchers. Navigating the publishing process can feel very daunting. So from your experience, what's the single most important piece of advice that you would give to ensure both a smooth submission and a higher chance of success in your journal?
That's a good question. I think there's two things, and it's for any journal. I think the first one is to be familiar with the journal. So read articles that are recently published by that journal, so that you can get to see how the articles are structured, the kinds of things that they are publishing. So that way there's sort of more of alignment between what you're doing, your research, and what the journal is potentially looking for. So I think that sort of alignment with recent articles, and sort of not necessarily obviously following what's there, but sort of being familiar with what's being published, how it's being structured is more likely. And I think the second thing is to be very clear around the actual author submission guidelines. And I know that can be sometimes quite tough, because some journals, you know, they have a very set template, and you just do sort of one thing perhaps missing, and then they might reject you without even going to peer review because of that. So I think spend a little bit of time focusing on making sure you understand those guidelines and submission guidelines. And if you don't understand something, get in touch with one of the editorial team and sort of try and ask, or find someone who you know has published in there before, because that's really useful, a way of also being able to sort of ask someone to get a little bit of insider information or experience information of how they've been, of how they've, what they did to get published in the journal. So you're slightly more likely to be successful. I think the other thing for anyone, whether you're emerging researcher or an established researcher, is often the first journal that you send something to, you don't always get accepted, but it's about learning from the feedback that you're getting and trying somewhere else, and sort of trying to incorporate that feedback and trying to make your article stronger, that it's more likely to publish. Thank you. I do see there's a question in the chat around any kind of methodology. So I think the journal is quite open in terms of methodology, across qualitative and quantitative methodologies. As I said, there's quite a lot of, if you look at some of the highly cited articles or highly downloaded articles, a lot of those systemic reviews or meta-analysis. But I would say sort of any methodology, sort of as long as there's a strong methodology and a strong empirical focus, I think there's sort of perhaps less of a focus on sort of conceptual papers, but very sort of strong empirical papers, whether they're qualitative or quantitative, would be of interest. Yeah.
Okay, thank you so much for answering those questions for us. So thank you for your insightful tips on submitting and succeeding in your journal. And I hope that we've left all of our participants with practical strategies to take back to their own research and publishing journey.
Yes.
Okay, I see.
Thank you.
Prof. Linda, do you also want to say something, Prof. Linda? I see that you've posted in the chat.
No, thank you, Anke. I just want to thank Greg for making the time for us. I think it is important for authors in the field. Many of us always wonder where's the best place. And I just think this is a journal with lots of potential. Even though the impact factor is high, I think we've got to try, give it a try. Yeah. We know that in education, if an impact factor is more than 1, it's regarded as a really strong journal. So we know that an 8 is exceptionally strong. Thanks, Greg. We appreciate it.
Thank you so much. Yeah, and just to say, Prof. van Reineveld is also on. Both of us are sort of the South African representatives on the advisory board, so you're welcome to get in contact with me or her as well if you've got any questions about the journal. And again, I think, yeah, with these high impact journals, it's not always easy to get in, but sometimes I think it is useful to try and learn from that experience, and just see what happens. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Greg, for your valuable time. So I think that we are going to just get ready for our next 2